Welcome back to the GBGuns Armory series. It's been a while since I've done one of these guys. I'm sorry, lots been happening in life. Been pretty busy. In this case, I had SHOT Show preparation for, being there, and then recovering from before I could do some more filming. Despite the fact that I reviewed this, well, I shot it really in November. I didn't get the review and everything done until just recently. This beautiful piece, and check out that camo pattern. Really cool paint job. This is the Genesis Arms Gen 12 SSBM. It's a dual side charging 12 gauge AR-10, or rather DPMS Gen 1 pattern conversion to 12 gauge from that earlier 308 build setup. If you've been with the channel a while, you know that this is the third edition of a Genesis Arms Gen 12 that has been on the channel. In fact, didn't realize it at the time, but I was the first media to ever talk about them about 7 years ago, and have become friends with the company and really enjoyed following along their innovation. It's not cheap, these are not inexpensive, but that's what innovation and American made costs when it's not backed by big giant corporations. You see your huge mega brand names, they can afford to set a budget for R&D and testing things and trying stuff out and all that, while their main line of product keeps selling and keeps the business lights on. Smaller innovative companies like Genesis Arms, they've got to make it work from the start and get it out as quickly as possible, and then also recoup the costs of creating that stuff and paying the staff, things like that. So it's a completely understandable price range. This SSBM, which I also apologize, I published the video before this thing was really listed. This is one more intended for aerial targets, if you catch my drift. I put plenty of hints in the article in those main reviews, but while the Gen 12 concept was originally sort of based around having a good breacher model, they've gone through lots of evolutions. The barrel reciprocates a little bit. That's part of the recoil reduction and absorption that they have going on in this gun. In the later versions, including this one, there's also a counterweight hidden in here that is spring-loaded going the opposite direction of the recoil, and it makes for a very, very smooth shooter. However, that meant mounting a muzzle device was a tough thing to do when that's really important for breaching. So they developed an interesting mounting setup on the front here. This extension that you see here is what makes this chokeable. This extension threads on, and then using Remington style chokes you can choke this. I had shot at demos but hadn't shot on my home range with my own ammo one of the newer models with that counterweight in there. I remember hearing about the development of it and following along through it, and then finally getting to see it. Cool, but a crowded big demo day, and after John Wick 4, Genesis Arms really took off in popularity, and getting to shoot one at like a range day or something like that became a longer line than I was accustomed to. So it was nice to have this one in hand. And if you guys saw that video, one of the things that really impressed me with this, of course it's softer recoiling than any other shotgun, but it seemed to me that the heavier the recoil impulse should have been, the softer the gun shot. And I'm not talking just like in a relative sense of, well, I was expecting more. No, like I ran 1 1/8 ounce slugs through this easier than I did number 8's birdshot. I mean, it was like a soft shooting 5.56. You guys have probably seen the footage of that if you've watched the full review. It's towards the end of the What's for Dinner. That footage was my absolute first time trying it. As always, I don't do highlight reels or burn reels. I don't film a bunch of stuff and then select what I'm showing you. I show you guys the process and my journey along the way. And so that reaction after letting the slugs fly, that's real. I was impressed. And even though this is chokeable, and I only put one of the clips in there because it's really tough to film. The lighting that day wasn't that great. My dad was helping me out with the camera. I was hand flinging with one of those little arm doohickeys, clays in the air, and able to nail them quite well thanks to the choke systems that are on here. Going back to improved cylinder or no choke at all, of course, to run the slugs. Heck of a beast of a machine. And A little aside, since if you guys are new to the GBGuns Armory series, this isn't the review video. The reviews are the written articles. The videos are documentation of that process. These videos, the GBGuns Armory on this second channel, are where I give more thoughts and feels on stuff, as well as look for thoughts and feels from you guys, because typically this stuff's been out for a while. I understand this is kind of a obscure, uncommon gun, so maybe that'll be a little bit different. But the Genesis Arms crew has always run EOTechs and been advocates of them. EOTechs, I mean, heck, this gun is well out of my normal price range. EOTechs are as well. And I kind of dismissed that for a long time. And was like, you know, I can get a red dot on a riser and it'll be fine. And what's weird is, though the recoil impulse of this is not terrible and it's softer than most 12 gauges, I think maybe the abruptness of it, sort of like how some air guns can actually break rifle scopes. Like if you put a regular rifle scope on an air gun, the spring-loaded ones, I think it's because for them there's a bit of forward shock as well instead of rearward, and the scopes aren't built for that, but weird things can happen. The same thing happened to me putting red dots on Gen 12s when I went out and visited 12 Spies, and if you haven't checked out his channel, do it. Guy makes cinematic videos. He spends a lot of time, a lot of effort in his editing and lighting and color correction and all that kind of stuff, and really makes an enjoyable cinematic experience to watch. But he and I are friends, and I flew out to Tennessee for something else and decided to bring some guns. Of course, when you're flying out to visit, your luggage can only be 50 pounds, so I tried to do what I could with 50 pounds. That included one of my Gen 12s, and while we're shooting it, and he left it in the video, credit to 12 Spies for keeping things real, while I was shooting, the mount broke on that particular optic. The red dot's fine, but the mount broke, because you think the taller the mount is, the more leverage the weight of the optic has on that little mount, and those mounts, I guess, aren't strong enough. But the EOTech sits lower, so there's less moment, less force being imparted on the mount, and the mount is a broader surface area, and I think that's what helps keep these things alive. But the sight picture in these is perfect. It's a heck of a gun to shoot. They are really expensive. I feel your pain on that. I agree. I'd say if you want to get serious about a shotgun and you're just going to have one, the Gen 12 is absolutely worth it. This is only a 10-inch barrel. This extension here is for the choke system. But even at that, I was busting clays out of the sky very easily, which is not something I think many people would ever consider for a 10-inch gun. And as the camo implies, this being a duck gun, they do have limited round magazines to be legal for hunting. Obviously this 10-rounder, and YouTube, yes, just 10 rounds. This is a 10-round magazine. It's not crazy high capacity. 12 gauge is a big shell. It needs a lot of space. Heck of a system, and absolutely worth it. If you've got somewhere that's got a rental range that allows shotguns, harass the heck out of them until they get a Gen 12 in, and then experience it for yourself. I know it's a lot of money to think about spending on a shotgun. It might be out of your budget, and if so, that's fine. But I would say totally worth it. An incredible, incredible beast of a gun. If you haven't seen the shooting impressions video of the Gen 12, check it out. If you don't know where to find that, the pinned comment of this video will be to the article, and that'll get you to that video. These guys just keep knocking it out of the park. I was impressed 6 years ago. I was impressed 4 years ago. I've been impressed with each evolution, and it just keeps getting better. Really, really amazing guns. Even if you get your hands on an early one that's used, not only will that likely be a collector item at some point, but it's still freaking awesome compared to most other shotguns. And I say that having 3-gunned with a Weber 12. That used to be what I 3-gunned with, and then after that I reviewed a lot of semi-auto shotguns back when YouTube circulated the videos a little more fairly. I've been somewhat pigeonholed into pistol reviews by YouTube, as in if I publish something that's not a pistol review, nobody watches it because they don't see it. And YouTube tells me that's on the back end when I see these videos as far as reach. YouTube flat out shows me that the video was not available really for anybody to find. Which brings me to one other point while I'm here, and I've got you since these are my talking head videos. Good friend of mine, another channel owner, was recently looking up a gun, and he assumed that I had a review on it, and his assumption was right. And he searched all over YouTube and went through pages of results and didn't see my video. He's subscribed to my channel, I'm subscribed to his channel. We interact on YouTube, we text message back and forth on our phones. We are friends, been that way for years, and YouTube didn't want him to see my review of that particular pistol, which is just obnoxious. As many of you know, I've been at this for about a decade now, maybe technically longer, but in earnest for about a decade, and growth has been slow. This second channel I'm not so concerned about, but the main channel has. So for the first time in 10 years, I'm going to ask something. If there's one of my main channel videos that you found educational or informational or helpful, share it with a friend. Or if you know a friend is looking for something and it's a handgun, chances are I reviewed it, send them my video. Let's see if that helps break the deadlock that YouTube has put on the channel. Because I'm really getting tired of it. It's obnoxious. Anyways, off of that soapbox, the Gen 12 SSBM is an incredible machine, as are all Genesis Arms Gen 12s. I highly recommend checking it out. It may be a unicorn gun, just a fantasy gun for a lot of folks, and I understand that totally. But it's something you should know about, because this, to me, is a standard by which all other, let's say, tactically oriented shotguns should be measured. Thanks for watching.
Thank you to our Patreon supporters. GBGuns, and I do 2-level, Andrew P, Joseph T, Randy A, Algie, Peter A, Tom, Moses S, Fast Eddie, Tyler 215, Brian P, Scott King, Derek S, Jr., Donald H. Thanks for the tip, lever. David P. Creedles, the Godslayer, Andrew B. Lee A.H., Christopher J.J.S., Foreign Griphone 3, Jeff O. Michael W., David G. O.K.Y. Tuba, Robert B. Ohio Cruffler, Steve Briscoe County Jr., Rich R., Red Sky Wahar, Edsy Fierce of Theta Cease, Uncle Munzie, David F., Alan B. Laura P., Andrew C. Tata Joni. Keeping things on this level, Gary B. Lafes, Danielle D. Ed Z, Jake J. Brad M, George H. Ocknell M, Cody W. Marcus, Such Hoden Lewis R, Eddie P. Logan G, Brian K. RBMD 2022A, Theo B. Ron Z, Gordon NC Tech No Con Half Empty, CJ Ronald LW Russ P. Marvin T, GPC 1986 Robert